All right, and the New York Film Critics Circle has weighed in today. That's what this video is, of course, going to be about. And really, I mean, no genuine surprises here, really. I mean, nothing that made me jump up and shout anything. At least not in a few categories. There's one category in particular that now makes me kind of think twice, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Anyway, so no beating around the bush here. Roma was the big winner today at New York Film Critics Circle, and I had this one predicted. I knew probably it was going to be this one or The Favorite or one of those, but yeah, Roma makes sense, obviously. And it also picked up for two other awards, for director and also for cinematography. And Netflix, of course, won those three categories, and it's so far it's been a good haul for Netflix overall with the amount of stuff that Roma's been nominated for. Of course, you had stuff like Indie Spirits, where it kind of had an ineligibility rule with most of the categories because it was produced outside of the U.S., and Gotham kind of has a similar thing there. But then it did pop up on National Board of Review for a couple of considerations there. It was on the list of the 10 best films of the year and everything. So it's yeah, that's definitely good for it, and I think it'll continue to be a strong player through the year. I think Best Picture nomination, at least at Critics' Choice, is guaranteed at this rate. I think it'll definitely win most of the foreign language film categories that it's up for this year. Again, that's probably Critics' Choice, Globes, on down the line. We'll see if BAFTA reacts to it. I'm sure BAFTA will. They like Quran. Gravity won big over there. It did not win Best Picture over there, but it was nominated for quite a few categories over there. Going through the list here, though, the acting categories. We had one major surprise here. We'll get to it here in a second. But Ethan Hawke won again for First Reformed. I had this one nailed as well. He fits the mold for they kind of like those. Either they go really foreign or English, or they go with a an actor like this and a performance that's really lauded by critics, really. And Ethan Hawke's he's a lot of times when he's been like on the Before trilogy, he's been nominated and won a lot of critics prizes for screenplay and stuff. So yeah. So it wasn't a big surprise to see him nominated here, win here, and. Where we did get a surprise though was Best Actress. I was thinking, okay, it's Glenn Close, or it's Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, which that could have turned out. I mean, Roma did well here. Nope. Okay, well, it could have been Olivia Colman was probably one of my next guesses for The Favorite. No. Okay, well, did they go Gaga? No, they didn't go Gaga. Okay, where the hell did they go? They went with Regina Hall, Support the Girls. Wow. Yeah, I've this film has really not been on my radar, and this is really a pick that kind of reflects some of the other ones here. Let me pull up. I was going to pull up some of the other winners through the years here. Let's see here, Best Actress. Let's see here, going down. I think there's here we go. I was going to say because like they've kind of gone with some weird ones here and there. Isabelle Huppert won here a couple of years ago. She ended up nominated. Saoirse Ronan was here last year. She was nominated. Well, she actually won in 2017 and then in 2015 as well for Lady Bird last year and then Brooklyn. Marion Cotillard was the winner here in 2014. They went with Rachel Weisz for The Deep Blue Sea. So, yeah, sometimes they'll go for those kind of out the performances. Happy Go Lucky, Sally Hawkins was the winner here back in 2008. So it's usually somebody who gets nominated at the Oscars as well. So that's the last time that didn't happen really was because the years Marion Cotillard and Isabelle Huppert won, they had two films out there. Rachel Weisz for Deep Blue Sea was the last one to win here and not be nominated at least. And then you have to go back to Sally Hawkins, and then from there. Hope Davis won for American Splendor and Secret Life of Dentists back in 2003. And then before that, then you have to go back a little ways. So, they do sometimes have some offbeat choices too. If you, again, kind of going through, they picked Jennifer Jason Leigh for Georgia, which I know that was, around that year. It wasn't a big player. Or even weird, they went Cameron Diaz the year of There's Something About Mary. It's like, wow, okay. So sometimes, they'll kind of go their own way on that. So, so that surprised me. So the only thing that really has me thinking now is, okay, I look around, it's like, okay, Indie Spirits nominated her, Regina, for lead actress, and Gotham and Indie Spirits both did. So does that mean, I think the film technically is a comedy, from everything I know. Is she going to pop up for the Globes now? I'm starting to think, because originally I was thinking Catherine Hahn here, but I'm starting to think now Regina Hall is going to get that spot. I haven't 100% decided yet, but right now I'm thinking, that, and she's also got The Hate You Give out, so I'm thinking ditch Catherine Hahn. It's a Netflix film, so that also I think has a chance to get in, and actually there's probably a good chance that both of them can get in. It's not 100%, but I think it's a possibility. It's looking over that category. Olivia Colman is a lock. She's going to get in. Emily Blunt's going to get in for Mary Poppins. Constance Wu is pretty safe, I'd say, for Crazy Rich Asians. Then again, we said similar things about like Big Sick last year. Not in this category specifically, because I know this was the one spot where Big Sick was going to struggle last year, was lead actress comedy with Zoe Kazan, because she's really supporting in that. But anyways, the rest of the list, so you got Charlize Theron and Tully. She might be vulnerable here, definitely, because Tully was pretty early on in the year. It kind of had a moment there, and then it went away. But then again, so did the last time she and Jason Reitman paired up with what was it called, Adult Child or whichever one. I never saw it, but and she was nominated at the Globes for that, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so she's on their radar for sure. So I think it's safe to keep her in. And I'm right now I'm going to swap out Regina Hall in for Catherine Hahn. So, but Catherine Hahn's still, I think, a possibility, definitely. And if one of them, if both of them get in, then I think it's either going to be Constance Wu or Charlize that falls out. So I'm going to juggle around with that a little bit, and we'll see from here. But yeah. Okay, the supporting categories, Richard E. Grant won for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Yeah, that I had nailed down. I talked about it in one of my longer videos there, where I'm like, Richard E. Grant's going to start picking up these critics' prizes. He did not win at National Board of Review, no, but he did win here. I'm willing to bet he's going to win at L.A., right now at least. I mean, obviously they could go for Mahershala, they could go for Sam Elliott like National Board of Review did. Timothée Chalamet is still in there for Beautiful Boy. Adam Driver is still pretty popular. I think he's still definitely in the mix to win some of these critics' prizes for BlacKkKlansman. So it's not 100% decided yet, I don't think. I think Ethan Hawke is probably going to continue to win a few other critics' prizes. Vigo won at National Board Review again, but keep that in mind too. Christian Bale, I think, will have maybe a couple wins here and there. Bradley Cooper, I think, will pop through on some of the, like, we've got, like, going back to the awards and calendar, like, we've got Washington, D.C. is on Monday. They have a critics' prize there. Philadelphia has one on the same day as L.A. on December 9th. Las Vegas is coming up. Boston's coming up. Phoenix, North Carolina, the online film critics. Really some of those ones that are not as held prestigiously as like New York and L.A., they could go for Cooper for lead actor. And Cooper also, as we mentioned on Tuesday, won for director for Star is Born. So, yeah, I think we could continue to see similar things like that happen. Regina King. Now if they both get in, that's going to be cool. Anyways, Regina King won again for If Beale Street Could Talk. She right now has been the only one who's swept all those categories so far. She won at Gotham. Likely to win Indie Spirits, but of course that's a ways off yet. She won National Board Review Tuesday. She won here today. So, kind of similar to last year with Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe just won everywhere for a long time for Florida Project. And yeah, truly excellent performance, definitely. And Laurie Metcalf was around a lot too last year for supporting actress for Lady Bird. But last year, New York went with Tiffany Haddish for Girls Trip. So that's something to keep in mind there. And they've, again, kind of looking through the list here for supporting actors, they've also kind of gone their own way sometimes. Like last year, Tiffany Haddish was, of course, not nominated. Kristen Stewart won in 2015 for Clouds of Sil Maria, or C. Maria, however you pronounce it. I think it's Sil Maria. She won that, wasn't nominated. Let's see here. And then they had a pretty steady track record of predicting either the Oscar winner or one of the nominees for a while there. Maria Bello for History of Violence was the last one to win before that, back in 2005. So, And then again, you have to go back to the late '90s. There, Lisa Kudrow won for The Opposite of Sex. Weird year for New York film critics, I guess. And yeah, for the supporting actor, just looking through that really quick through the years here. Yeah, we mentioned Florida Project last year, and then they've predicted before that though they predicted the last 4 Oscar winners. They had Jared Leto, J.K. Simmons, Mark Rylance, and Mahershala Ali. And then again, you have to go before that to McConaughey, who won in 2012 for Bernie and Magic Mike. So yeah, and then Albert Brooks won for Drive in 2011. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember he won. He won a lot of stuff that year, critic wise, for prizes and stuff for Drive, and then missed out on the Oscars. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know at this rate if that any of that shit like Brooks or anything is going to happen again this year, but you never know. Okay, going on through the list here. Screenplay went to First Reform. That's Paul Schrader. Again, he's, he won. There's original and adapted at National Board Review. He won original there. Won his screenplay at Gotham, as I remember correctly, and he's won here. So he's another one who's cleared the table so far on that. We mentioned cinematography was Roma, Alfonso Cuarón. And foreign language film Cold War, second win this week for Amazon and Poland. And Minding the Gap won for documentary. And animated film was a bit of a surprise here. It's not going to be a straight sweep for Incredibles 2. Not that I think it was. I mean, Isle of Dogs is definitely some competition this year for sure. But no, they didn't go with Isle of Dogs either. They went with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Very interesting. Now, of course, it's set in New York, so maybe that has something to do with it. But that being said, I've talked about this one a little bit, as we've gone into like animated feature category and stuff. But Spider-Verse is one. The first trailer, I think it was released almost a year ago now. I was in. I was like, this is really cool. Obviously, I like the idea of Miles Morales finally getting on screen because I know I grew up, of course, with the Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. And then it wasn't long after that, and through the behind-the-scenes features and stuff, when you look into the comics history and stuff, it's like, oh, there's other characters through the comics history that have played Spider-Man. So it's like, wow, okay. So, and Miles Morales is one of the first ones mentioned. I'm like, that's a cool idea. And again, I'm not big into comics at all. I've tried to get into comics multiple times, but it's just not for me. But I know he's one that people have been dying to see, and evidently it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Average rating is 8.8 out of 10. That's impressive. 35 reviews already too, and that number's of course only going to go up. But that's really impressive. So, and of course it's behind partly to do with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who had a hand in the script and producing this. So, Phil Lord wrote it. Chris Miller did not, but yeah. So, and of course they struck hard with Lego Movie a few years ago. So I don't know if we're going to see a repeat at the Oscars there, though, when we have that big snub like we did Lego Movie, though. That'd be interesting. But if this one keeps up like this, and obviously, part of the reason I think that Lego Movie was not nominated all those years ago, or Lego Batman Movie last year, is kind of that stigma of, oh, it's just an advertisement for Lego. It's just commercialism for Lego. So, this is a little different though. This is not commercialism for Spider-Man. It's like, no, it's just a Spider-Man movie that's animated. Really, I think that's all it comes down to. And like I mentioned, the first trailer had me. The second trailer, I don't know if it was just me or what it was, but it's like some of the animation just looked really wonky and incomplete for whatever reason. And I went back and I watched that because I have seen the second trailer a couple times in theaters too. It's like, oh, every time it just didn't look finished. And then the third trailer came out a while ago. I don't know if they had another one after that, but I saw the third one, where they kind of got more into some of the other Spider-Men that are flying around the Spider-Verse. And it's like, no, this looks good. I was correct with the first trailer. Yeah, the first trailer was a better representation. Whatever happened to that second trailer, I don't know, but it's like, yeah. So I'm still not 100% sold on whether or not I'm going to see this like opening weekend or if I'm going to check it out, later on. But this is 100% a very good start for this, and I think with the animation style, this could be one that sneaks up on Incredibles 2 and gives it a run for its money. Could, but obviously we're a ways out on that. So anyways, I meant the reviews on that just started dropping yesterday, so that caught my attention. Anyways, so yeah. So this really hasn't changed much as far as the Best Picture race goes. One thing interesting of note, though, is early on, I think a lot of us in the Oscar space and actual people who do this, who are published by all the big websites and publications, have been really saying, the favorite is going to be one that a lot of the critics groups go for early, but so far that has not proved to be the case. Wasn't on the list of 10 best films at National Board of Review. Didn't have a good showing at Gotham, but again, some of that was, as far as wins go, it got a couple nominations. Indie Spirits, there was some restrictions there, again, based on where it was filmed and stuff, so that kind of stopped it in its tracks a little bit. And, no notices here today at New York either. It's interesting, but we'll see where it goes from here. And of course, the Globe. I think it's going to do very well at the Globes, though. It's got that comedy race. I mean, not one already, but it's between that and Green Book and Vice, and yeah. We'll see where it goes from there. One interesting though, one thing I skipped over was Best First Film, and that went to 8th Grade, Bo Burnham. Yeah, no question there. But that's one. Now, this is one change I did make today, though. It's not in Best Picture, it's not in Director or anything like that. It's in the Screenplay category, Original Screenplay. And, boy, there's a method to my madness here, but right now you're all going to probably say you're out of your mind. I took Roma out for Original Screenplay. Now, here's my reasoning on this. Number one, Cuarón and I believe it was his son who co-wrote Gravity. That screenplay did not get in that year, even though Gravity was, pretty, I mean, not neck and neck, but it was in the fight against 12 Years a Slave at this point in the Oscar race. And, American Hustle then began to challenge, and then we had kind of a three-way race going on for a while there. At the end of the day, I think Gravity not having that screenplay nomination cost it that Best Picture Oscar for sure. Now, obviously, 12 Years a Slave, I think, still could have won if Gravity had also been nominated for screenplay, but, there's a lot of things there. It's like you look at this, it's like, okay, well, First Reformed is picking up all these critics' prizes. It's Paul Schrader. He's a well-known name around the writers group and everything. He's been nominated, how many times? Or is he... didn't we look into this once? Let's see here. Awards. Let's see here. That's right, yeah. He's never been nominated by the Oscars. That's right. But he's a well-known name. He's been around a while, like with Affliction and Taxi Driver, of course, and a few of those other ones. I think they're going to make amends for that. He's going to get in this year. Vice seems like it's going to get in. Adam McKay, he and his partner were nominated for and won for Big Short a couple years ago, 3 years ago. And then I think The Favorite and Green Book are going to be the two that fight this out, depending on where Best Picture goes. Because if Green Book turns into the Best Picture front runner here in a few weeks, that'll probably take Screenplay along for the ride. If not, The Favorite kind of sticks out like Birdman. Even though we were thinking Boyhood was winning Best Picture, back in 2014, it was still like Birdman was one that was still sticking out and winning a few screenplay prizes along the way, including at the Globes. So The Favorite could be one that even if Green Book, wins a lot of Best Picture prizes, if they don't want to go with it for Best Picture, they could still pick The Favorite for screenplay. So I think it's those two it comes down to for the win. Unless, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Vice is going to pick up and all of a sudden become a Best Picture front runner. But, I mean, yeah, it's had a few screenings so far, but that's about it. And First Reformed, it's not in my Best Picture predictions yet, and I don't think it's going to be. But, I mean, it would have to do very, very well across the board from now on. It would have to be one of the film drama nominations at Globes. It would have to be kind of like we mentioned it the other day with Screenplay for the film. It has to get in at the Globes, has to be a big player. For the win, at least for the win, has to be nominated here, win a few of them, and it already has won a few critics prizes, of course. It's yeah, there's a lot that has to happen, I think, for First Reformed to be a Best Picture nominee. And right now, I don't know. I mean, it was on the list, of course, 10 best films at National Board of Review as well, so keep that in mind. But anyways, so I took out Roma to get back to this, and I put in Eighth Grade because Eighth Grade it's that movie that won't go away this year, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I just mean like everywhere. Gotham, I expected Gotham, as I've said multiple times, I expected them to nominate it for director, for picture, actress, and probably 4 or 5 nominations. It only ended up with just the breakthrough categories, and it won both of them. So that tells you something. Big player at Indie Spirits, of course. I think it had 4, if we counted right, 4 nominations there. And it was on the list of 10 best films Tuesday at National Board of Review. And again, was the winner on a lot of those breakthrough performance and breakthrough directors. And I think going forward that we're going to see a lot of that continue for the film and for Bo Burnham and for Elsie Fisher, the star. So it's that little indie film that won't go away this year. So I think it's not going to be ignored at all. And I think Best Picture, again, it's a bit of a long shot at this rate because again, it's got a lot that has to happen for it to be a Best Picture nominee. It has to it's in the comedy musical race at the Globes. That category has to really line up for it, and we've got going through that list again. We've got like Crazy Rich Asians in there. We've got The Favorite. We've got Green Book. Who else do I have in right now for film comedy? Those 3. Vice is going to be in there, and definitely Mary Poppins is in there. They love the musicals like that, so. Even something like Greatest Showman, which, of course, from what we can read on the people that have seen Mary Poppins, it's like, yeah, Mary Poppins is probably going to have a very good critical reception as well, but that was not the case for Greatest Showman. So it's got to get in over one of those at least to get in. But this is very reminiscent of last year, where it's like we had 6 films really in the hunt last year. And one of them had to be booted out, and it's like, well, it's not going to be that one. 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 It's like, and then it had to be one of them for because I was not thinking Get Out was going to make it because there was a lot of controversy over its choosing placement in the comedy musical category. A lot of voters thought, kind of like The Martian, 2015, a few years back. A lot of people, especially in the Globes, my computer's going to die. A lot of people in the Globes were, very upset about The Martian being considered comedy, and they're like, it almost felt like, okay, it's, it got the nomination, sure, but there's no way it's gonna. Oh shit, it won too. It was one of those things too. And Get Out, I thought, last year I was like, well, it's probably Lady Bird, but yeah, I almost had a similar feeling last year with that. But anyway, so it was like Lady Bird last year. It was Get Out. Big Sick was in the hunt. Greatest Showman. God, what were the other nominees? Oh boy, now I'm forgetting. Anyways, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it was like 6 of them, and I was having a tough time deciding, okay, which of these remains out. And I was like, Get Out was the one that kind of had some controversy around it for that reason. Yeah, Big Sick was one, and Big Sick ended up being the one that missed out, and it missed out everywhere. No nominations at all, which is surprising, very surprising. Anyways, but yeah, 8th Grade, again, kind of like, it's kind of in the same boat as First Reformed, in the same boat as Crazy Rich Asians right now. A lot has to happen for those movies to make it, and there's routes and ways that can happen, but it's, a lot of stuff has to line up just right, and a lot of other stuff that we, are more ably predicting right now has to fall out. And, overall, though, I think, there's chances for all that stuff to happen. It's just, is everything going to line up perfectly, or is it going to be a mix match? And we don't know. And it just confuses us going forward. Probably the latter, but anyways. So I did put 8th Grade back in for Screenplay. I think that's the safe bet for if it's going to, kind of like what I was thinking early on with Get Out before the SAG nomination, before it did well at Globes and everything. I was thinking, because early on I didn't really have it predicted for much, and then I'm like, no matter what, it's got to get in for Screenplay. I was like, if they're going to reward it anywhere, even if it's just, if it comes down to we got to give this film at least one nomination, what's it going to be? Screenplay. I feel very similar with 8th Grade this year, where it's like, we got to give it, because again, picture at this rate for, and, relatively, looking back at last year too, I think Get Out, had a little bit, obviously a lot more steam on it than 8th Grade does at this point for Best Picture nomination. but it's like, okay, we don't know for certain if it's getting in for for picture. Director is a long shot at this rate. Actress is a pretty long shot. But if she gets in, Elsie, if she gets in at the Globes, that could change the conversation too. And yeah, so she's kind of in the hunt for that too. It's again, she'd have to boot out somebody like Constance Wu or something, which could happen, but I'm not going to bet on it for now. Again, we'll see if Regina Hall and if Catherine Hahn can maybe fight out for one or two of those spots too, if they can both get in. Yeah, so it's like, if it can't get in for actress, it's probably not getting in for supporting actor for Josh Hamilton, who's great in the movie though. And it's like that kind of leaves one spot, and that's original screenplay. So yeah, and plus it would also benefit because Bo Burnham's the screenwriter and the director, so that's a good, usually if that's the case, like with Ex Machina back in 2015, it's like that was another one that people were like, oh, it should be nominated for something. Well, the Best Picture's not going to happen, and director's not going to happen. Screenplay, that's it, and it was Alex Garland who wrote it too. So yeah, so it just worked out that way. So I think very similar vibes on Eighth Grade in that way. So that's why I put it back in. Yeah, I think that really wraps it up for this here. I mean, the only other thing would be documentary. Still, Won't You Be My Neighbor still is not winning, but yeah, I don't know. I think a big populist film like that, I think it won't have a problem once it gets, especially to the industry awards. When it gets to like Critics' Choice and it gets to the guilds and stuff. Well, the guilds could go their own way, but again, the safe bet's on Mr. Rogers always. And it definitely, when it comes to the Oscars and stuff, yeah, it'll definitely, I think, get in, and yeah. Anyways, yeah, so I guess that's gonna be about it for now. Looking at the schedule and stuff, which I just X'd out of, that was smart. We mentioned, yeah, Annie Awards are next week early. I won't do anything on the Washington D.C. one unless something spectacular happens or something really weird. Then we might go into it, but. I think Washington, D.C., for the most part, has been, let's see, association, here we go. For the most part, they've been, going, not always 100% with the grain of what wins, but like last year they gave Best Film to Get Out, so that was in the conversation. The other four nominees were Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, Lady Bird, and Three Billboards. So yeah, they were all in the conversation. Director was Christopher Nolan, and the other four were in the conversation. Del Toro, Gerwig, Peele, and Dee Reese for Mudbound. Actor was Gary Oldman. Actress Frances McDormand. Supporting actor was Sam Rockwell. Supporting actress was Laurie Metcalf. So they almost went 4 for 4 for the acting race. So yeah, most of the time they've been with the grain there. So yeah. Anyways, so. Yeah, if they go really against the grain and all of a sudden there's something weird and we don't really know where it's going from here or something, I don't know, probably not, but yeah, we'll maybe get into it. Of course, next Thursday, a week from today, is the big Golden Globe nomination announcement, so I'm going to keep that out of the frame there, just in case they try to flag me on this. But anyways, yeah, so that'll obviously be big, and I'll have a predictions video up the day before for sure, by the day before. If not, it'll be up by Monday or Tuesday, and I'll struggle over some of these categories because for the most part I've got a good feel on what's probably going to get nominated, but there's still quite a few question marks across the sphere there for the Globe. So obviously we'll get into that big next time. Yeah, and then from there, after that, we've got L.A. we mentioned is on December 9th, so on that Sunday. So, yeah. So the next time you see me, I'll be predicting Globes again for the final time for the nominations process. Wow. And then I will be up early and ready to go the day of the nominations announcement, and it'll probably be a very dark setting and everything. It'll be very early, so I can't shout and scream. So, yeah. So we'll, yeah, that'll be that. But that's next Thursday already. All right. I know this Oscar race, it'll be over before we know it. But anyways, okay. So that's New York Film Critics Circle for you, and they circle jerked a good winner. And okay, yeah, I'm gonna abandon that. All right, we'll catch you guys next time.